there somewhere.
Hello, everyone. Oh, well, sis, once again, here we are live from My Trans and Life Studios, and
Our GenderBlenders question for the week. Number 182, isn't it?
yes,
182.
yes,
Is the downside of transition, is there one for you? But before this, we tackle this question, sis.
yeah,
I have a question. We had an interesting weekend adventure, didn't we?
yes, we did. We went this weekend. We visited, of course, the Warner Brothers studios and took a big tour and seeing them, and actually got to see the actual sound stages from some of the sitcoms that they have there, including Friends, and I think I'm not sure what the other one was. But yeah, we had a great time there. And then we went shopping at the Citadel, and that was,
oh gosh,
what a large, huge, humongous mall that was.
it sure was.
They had everything there.
We spent pretty much a whole day there, and we ran out of day before we ran out of stores.
I know. But it was very, really interesting. It's an all-outdoor mall, but it is huge. I can't even guess the acreage that thing must take off, but it is so huge, and you know, it was a lot of fun. And then also we went to City Walk.
Oh, that was fun.
That was fun too.
Oh,
Always fun to shop around there and to see the comedy club. To go there, and also we ate at the Hard Rock Cafe. Yes,
yeah. That was fun too. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, I've had a lot of people this week, including one of my friends named Winter, who actually was asking about the hair color that I use.
Mm-hmm.
And of course it turns out that she uses not the same hair color I do, but she uses the same manufacturer that I do. And of course, you know, she wanted to know what I used, and I told her that I have a unique color, which is put out by Special Effects. Mm-hmm. Yes. And they make it for me, and they're considering possibly calling it Stephanie Approved or Unique Pink. So,
yes, Stephanie Approved.
So
that's a nice ring.
So yeah, so we're working on that one. So, but you know, we have begun to improve our studio, improve our lighting, and we have a lot of things that we are working on together. In fact, we had the whole carpet crew came in and really did a really fantastic job on cleaning everything up around here.
Boy, they sure did. It's all nice and clean.
I know. So
it's a different color carpet, effectively.
Yeah. So, but you know, we've had a lot of questions and stuff like that, and this question is it's proved very interesting because there were things that occur, and there are things that you need to prepare for when it comes to transitioning. So,
sis, what does your transition mean to you?
What does transition mean to me? Transition to me meant seeking correction and finally becoming my complete self. And it was something that I wanted to do. It was something that was very heartfelt, that, you know, if I had have known of the possibilities much earlier in life, I would have done. However, there were a lot of things that, you know, occurred in my life that were both roadblocks. You know, my parents not wanting me to transition and wanting me to be something that I wasn't, and as well as the fact that it wasn't really a good social environment that I was brought in out there for a transsexual such as myself. So that was, you know, pretty much some of the things that happened to me. You know, it asks about some of the downsides. Well, you know, the downsides themselves.
Yeah, what would you consider downsides?
Well, the ongoing nature of transition is, you know, of course, obviously seeking the correction, getting started, getting everything that you need taking place. Of course, you have all your legal documentation that you have to take care of as well. You need to get started in seeing a doctor and get yourself put on HRT. A lot of people end up having to go get therapists and be diagnosed with a GID in order to actually start their transitioning, which is really kind of sad. But
it is sad.
It is things that have to happen, And it's, you know, it's that way in many parts of the world. And, you know, we've got some friends and stuff like that. They, I guess overseas in the UK, have to go almost 2 years living with yourself full time before you can even start on your medication. I'm going on. How do you transition medically and become female so that you can live that way for 2 years? These are just things that, you know, I question sometimes, although many people do it, and that's just the way that is in other parts of the country. You know, the ongoing nature of transition is that you, one, block off any of the testosterone and stuff like that you have, and lower your levels of testosterone down to the levels they should be as a normal female, and increase your estrogen levels at the same time, because you want to make sure that you are balanced out at all times during your transition. So there's a lot of things that WPATH standards of care need to address when it comes to a transsexual who is wanting to begin their transitions.
Yeah.
It's not something that everyone needs to do, depending upon what your level is as a transsexual. And in the transgender category, which I can understand, that puts a lot of loopholes in that actually aren't really, that cause blocks and stuff for us transsexuals, because we are having to go through the same things as far as the WPATH standards of care is concerned for that diagnosis and everything else in order to, one, get ourselves approved for medical HRT, as well as getting ourselves approved to have our corrective surgeries.
Right.
You know, we're not getting sexually reassigned. You know, I hate that word, and so do all my other transsexual girlfriends and boyfriends that I've had. And it's really something that everyone has been directly opposed to. But I don't find that a lot of the people in the transgender category directly opposed to it. But I do find mostly transsexuals who are directly opposed to it being called, you know, sexual reassignment surgery, because we're not actually being reassigned.
There's no reassignment involved.
We are just corrected so that we can be ourselves, which is, you know, all that we ask. So there's, you know, there's a lot of things that really need to be more further addressed as far as us as transsexuals are concerned.
What other downsides would you care to mention with regard to transition?
I think the other downsides are rejection. Rejection of friends, people who've known you or thought that they have known you, you know, as the other person that you tried to reflect or project yourself as, out of the fears of not being able to correct yourselves without that rejection. And the number 2 issue is something that we all have faced. Some of them have been lucky enough not to, especially today, and that is rejection from family and siblings, because that is just something that you have to deal with in major cases, because your family, you need to let your family know what you're doing, and you're going to have to face that sooner or later, and they are going to need to either, one, understand you, or you're going to have to leave the roost. You're not going to be able to continue to have a relationship with them unless you are ready to live a whole life of total rejection. And that is not something that you should subject yourself to, because you can't really be yourself.
Right. A lot of our brothers and sisters really don't really accept us for who we are.
Well, it's just, it has a great deal of selfishness behind it.
Yeah.
Because they have never had to become something other than they weren't, because they always were what they were. But with us as transsexuals, we've, on the other hand, never been able to be ourselves. And when we finally decide we want to, then they try to make us feel like we are guilty, when in fact we're not being guilty of wanting to be ourselves. We're being guilty of not being the person whom they want us to be.
Right.
Again, laying back to the old cliche of who's being selfish.
Right, exactly.
So those, I think, are the primary downsides. Now, then you also have the costs.
Yeah.
You have to decide whom you want to do it, whether or not you're going to be able to afford, especially here in the United States, because there is a lot of capitalism here in the United States, and people charge you a much higher amount. So, you know, that's, you know, something to be considered.
Yeah, we both got corrected through the same doctor.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. So,
absolutely marvelous.
Yes. Repairing the physical damage that was created by having gone so long, you know, especially in an older age, is one of the most misunderstanding parts, or misunderstood parts of transitioning. Because there are trans specialists out there and regular doctors out there who try and prepared for and know exactly what it is that is required. The older you get, the higher the dosages of estrogen you need in order to place yourself in what's called the puberty stages, so that you can actually see the physical changes and have the physical developments that are necessary for you. And that has to be determined through blood work and by an experienced trans specialist and or doctor out in their field. In my case, I not only needed to do that, but I also needed to be assigned to a gynecologist because of my physical condition, having partial ovaries and the uterus. What was the downside for you, or did you actually experience a downside in during your transition?
You know, we talked a lot about different aspects of this, and you could consider, you know, siblings, you know, our brothers and sisters, and parents who don't accept us, and of course that's a downside. And it's a very severe downside because no one wants to lose their family.
That's true.
You know, the one nice bright shining star is our sister Joan, who absolutely does accept us, and that's and that, you know, that takes away some of the nastiness of the ones who don't really accept us. You mentioned cost and all that sort of things, and they're a downside, and all that red tape is kind of a downside. You know, you mentioned that.
Needs of a transsexual are much different, and it's very easy to tell the differences between someone who has had a transsexual life experience. I didn't see that 24-year-old laying on a deathbed given 3 days to live.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, and they weren't with me, so experiencing that. So for them to turn around and go, oh, well, no, you know, this is not true and this is not true. I'm sitting there going, you know, when you experience what I've experienced, you know what the truth is. Okay? You know
you
who
came
you
awfully
are.
close to death.
That's
in
not
3
true.
days of dying.
But
unless you
But you know who you are, and you know what you are, and you know what the experiences are of being transsexual, because that's all you've been all your entire life. And you've known what it was to fear. You've known what it was to not feel that there was any light at the end of the tunnel and no reason for continuing on living the life that you totally rejected, and the life that it was just totally uncomfortable for you. You know, it's understanding those who have those feelings of wanting to commit suicide and wanting to end it all because they don't see a life worth living. So it's reaching out to those and letting them know that today it's much different, and reaching out to those who are older and still want to transition, that only us who are experienced can help them with, if we are willing to reach out and try to help others. Which is something, you know, we're out here doing. This is why we're making these videos. Because we do want to be able to help other people. We want to share our lives with you, and we want to share our experiences with you, and we also want to share the pluses. It's like trying to explain to a 22 or 24-year-old what it was that we went through when we had the draft in Vietnam. They take life for granted. They've never had to be in a draft. They've never had been chosen for selective services, and they do not need to. They're not facing having to go to war and and certain death unless they themselves put themselves there and volunteer. A lot of our younger generation don't understand that it is us who set the path for them to have the freedom of choices today that they have, and it is the respect of us who set that allows them to be out here on Facebook and on YouTube saying and speaking their minds. We are the ones that accomplished that path so that you could say your piece and speak your mind. We are the ones whom you should be thankful for, because we actually fought a long, rough, and tough battle to accomplish that for you and for all of us. With regarding you, clothes and stuff like that.
Yes.
You know?
Well, you know, that's more than a minor annoyance. It's kind of a major annoyance that my feet grew so big that it's very difficult to find shoes that fit for me.
Yeah.
Or rather, shoes that don't look horrible.
Oversized. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, but, you know, that's one of the things. It's a downside of transition.
Sure.
But,
Yeah.
but otherwise, you know, being yourself. We are ourselves. So, you know, bottom line is that overrides an awful lot. Being able to be yourself and act as yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're yourself, you're able to do exactly what you need to do. You can accomplish things.
Mm-hmm.
You can get things done. You have this confidence that you never had before.
Yes, that's true. Absolutely.
And that's just something.
But you know, confidence is not something earned without you putting it into practice.
That's right. Right.
Confidence in yourself is something that you decide you are going to do and face those fears.
Mm-hmm.
And it is those fears that once you've overcame them, you become a stronger person. And therefore,
Right.
and that's when you really truly are able to feel the weight lifted up off your shoulders and become yourself.
Exactly.
Okay, and I hear so many times, toward the end of of transition, so on and so forth, friends and family out there, a naturally born girl never an end to transition. She is transitioning throughout her entire life.
Sure.
As transsexuals, once we start correcting ourselves, we begin our transitions.
Mm-hmm.
So why is it, and we begin our corrections. Now there are things that we do have to accomplish, and once we've gotten those accomplished, those things are over. But that's not the end of transition. And one of the things that as a transsexual we really need to stop doing, and that is referring to ourselves as transgender. You can't kick everybody else out of that transgender umbrella because you believe that you're the only ones that should be in there. Mm-hmm. It's just not going to happen. There are a lot of people who naturally, whether they are correct and heterosexually male or correct heterosexually female, who have trouble making choices. So join the crowd. There's a lot of people who don't make choices and or are questioning because they just don't know. We reach out to say, okay, well here, tell me a little bit more about your experiences. What are you doing here?
Mm-hmm.
What do what has happened to you there? Have you ever experienced this? Mm-hmm. Their therapists and psychologists never ask you these questions. Because they don't know to ask them.
Exactly.
They don't know to ask them.
Yeah.
The only way that they ever know to ask these questions is through the experiences that we have, not their own experiences, because they've never had those experiences. So those come from those of us who have gone through it and made it and successfully
That's why
deployed the
trans specialists is
themselves.
so important.
Sure.
Because they do understand that, because they've gotten that feedback from us.
The very ones whom you do hear out there saying, oh, we regret having had that surgery, you are never going to hear a transsexual regret having became themselves.
Right.
I live every single day to the fullest as the girl I am. I don't ever think about, oh, why would I want to be something that I never was, and why would I want to do something that caused me so much harm? So those people need to be weeded out, because I can go all over YouTube site and find a lot of people who are saying, oh, I had regrets. I shouldn't have had the sexual reassignment surgery. No, that's right. That is why us as transsexuals do not recognize and do not reflect on the fact that we were reassigned.
Right. We get corrected.
We get corrected. And that is the best way of me putting it. A lot of hospitals, surgeons today, both here in the United States and abroad, use GCS. I myself consider it to be gender corrective surgery. A lot of surgeons I've talked to have said, yes, that's true. That is a good analogy of what it is that we need to do to take care of ourselves. That's my take on transitioning and on the differences between being transgender and transsexual. You just need to decide for yourself what you want, what you are, and how you want to be referred to.
Exactly.
But if a fellow transsexual comes up and tells you that they're transsexual, and that they don't wish for you to consider them to be transgender. You should appreciate and you should respect that.
Okay.
Because there are a lot of us who don't consider ourselves as transgender. Because we should fit in.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that a midget doesn't fit in?
No.
No, a midget is a midget, but I don't see a lot of people out there making fun of them because that's how the way they were born. Nor do I see anyone going out and making fun of those who are conjoined Siamese twins.
Right.
Because that's how they were born. Well, that's the same with a transsexual. Being transsexual is a precise medical and physical condition from birth.
Well, sis, what's on the agenda for the next couple of weeks?
We would love to hear back from you if there was a downside in your transition. Let us know. We'd love to hear your comments, and we would also love to hear those questions that you would like for us to answer.
What's on your minds? Let us know. Right. You know, send us a submittal into GenderBlenders.
Yeah.
And we'll address that as on one of the questions of the week.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I appreciate all the time that you've taken in watching us. We appreciate all of our viewers. We appreciate all of our friends. We appreciate all of you who reach out for us. If there's anything that we can do or anything that you need, we're always available for you to reach on our channels and or on our sites on Facebook as well. We've got a lot of office improvements and yard improvements and everything else improvements and stuff that we're working on, as well as some other things that we have to just keep occurring during our own processes. So we thank everybody for having been with us, and we wish every single one of you very well. We want you to know that we are here because we support all of you. My name is Stephanie.
I'm Steffi. Until next week.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.